I think that when it comes to higher education, it's really about our core mission as a church is to both develop disciples and equip leaders. And for us, a big part of our mission is actually stated as we want to develop 100 new leaders. And for us, what that means is 100 people who attend our church casually, that grow in their faith to become disciples and eventually become equipped to be leaders. And that could be leaders serving in the church, but it could also be a vocational role. So we have a real passion to prepare people so that they could be a part of the mission and use their purpose specifically within the local church. And so I think without a higher education component, then they're ill-equipped. I mean, they may have the passion, the desire, their own spiritual disciplines, but you also have to have the right insight and information to lead, not just effectively lead people, but to develop other disciples and equip other leaders based on the scriptures and what the Word of God really commands us and challenges us to. So I think if you boil it all down, the mission of the church is the mission that Jesus gave us, which is to make disciples of all nations. And so for us, this is a component of us developing disciples, but also equipping leaders and pastors and missionaries into the future to be sent out into the field. One of the things that we say as a church is that we want to be, our culture is driven to build ladders, not just climb ladders. And so for us, what that means is oftentimes in a church setting, it's about people achieving success, climbing the ladder, if you will. And I find that, there's a kingdom paradigm that says really if we're called to be leaders, we're not really supposed to try to attain greatness or success, but rather we're called to serve. And so I think that this plays into who we are as a people, that while we need capable, quality leaders and disciples that are educated, at the end of the day, what it's done is it's created opportunity. A lot of times in the church, the vision or the mission is kind of shrink wrapped around helping a few people do the work. Well, for us, we want to plant campuses, and our mandate is for multiplication. So it's very central to our church's mission to not just educate people, but build platforms and opportunities for others. And so what that's done is it has developed great enthusiasm and energy, particularly among those who are young or maybe don't have the opportunity to see that there's a pathway. Because my experience in many churches is you got people that are interested to grow and develop as a leader, but the leadership oftentimes do not create a platform or an opportunity for it. And so as a result, there's people that are developed and trained with nowhere to go. And so what I've seen play out in our church is great energy and enthusiasm from those that are underdeveloped, because not only do they see opportunities to be developed, but they also see the opportunity for them to be launched into the mission and ministry that they desire to be in. I think that what we really champion is, again, this idea of developing disciples and equipping leaders. And so oftentimes I think when it comes to casting a vision or championing something, you really have to champion the why, and then the what follows. And so while we promote the opportunity specifically to be a part of higher education in this way, really the sales pitch for the higher education comes after the why. And so that's my job as a pastor, as a leader, is to constantly put the why we're doing what we're doing in front of people. And I've found that if you lead with why, then it invites and engages people. But if I started to cast a vision around, I want to educate people this way, then there's plenty of people that would opt out. And so it's a bit of a backhanded way to promote something, but at the end of the day, I think it's the most compelling thing. People want to know why we're doing what we're doing, not do they like what we're doing. And I've found that if you can buy into the why, then the what really doesn't matter, because ultimately the vehicle is driven towards a specific goal and vision.
I tell every single school, the chancellor has to answer the question why.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's their job. The chancellor, if they do one thing,
Yep.
is say, why should I become a student of Christian higher education in your school?
Yes.
And you have to paint a picture
100%.
for me of the outcome.
Exactly.
And then turn me over to the how and the how and the what.
Yep.
The what and the how.
People are not inspired by the how and the what oftentimes, even if
No.
it's a good how and what. They're inspired. Everybody's inspired by the big why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And
Even if they don't ask it.
yeah,
They're
honestly,
looking
it's
for
sort of like,
it.
here's why, here's the why we
Yeah.
want to develop people, and here's how we're going to accomplish it. The selling point is there.
Here's why.
Exactly.
Right there on the wall.
I think number one, your team has to know your heart. If doing higher education is just something that a pastor or church feels obligated to do, then the enthusiasm is not going to be contagious. And so I think that the team that leads this ministry or builds the educational components out or recruits the students or gets in front of them, they have to have a real connection with the heart behind it. And so it's less mechanical and it's more motivational. And so obviously we meet to make sure that we're clear about what it is. But I think at the end of the day, what's really important is we have very clear marching orders. And a lot of times in churches and pastors, we paint big picture. We paint broad strokes. And we want to change this city or we want to change the world, and nobody can put handles on it. And so the thing that I think we do best is we make it very clear what we're going after, which means we're clear about what we're not going to do. I, as a core conviction and as a church, we want to raise up 100 new leaders from our church to be sent out into vocational ministry. And so I think clear marching orders for the team is the only way to success. And now we can actually measure how we're successful in this specific mission. And we can make sure that our energy is devoted to the right things. Yeah, when it comes to anything that we try to do and try to accomplish, we want to make sure that it's effective. And effectiveness is not just being busy, it's not just having something accurate and clear, but actually seeing stories of transformation. This is why for us, our mission as a church is to see people changing because of Jesus. And I think of a young man who literally attended our church, and attended one of our campuses and got serious about God, gave his life fully to Christ there and began serving and volunteering with the ministry. And you could see, even though he had no real ambition or drive to be in ministry, had a normal job, and I believe really content being there, God began to stir in his heart for something bigger and more for him. So as he was involved in the ministry and serving in different areas, and as he began to pursue higher education to get not just the hands-on knowledge and experience that he needed, but to have something under the hood, he just grew and flourished. And so seeing over, 5 or 6 years him casually attending service to now being one of our campus pastors is really the story that I want to see multiply over and over again, and it just wouldn't be possible without the right kind of education. I think it's like anything. Doing something great requires consistency, requires passion, and requires, at times, a season of duration. And so I would just say for those churches, those Bible schools that are getting off the ground, is to start small. Don't despise the day of small beginnings, but to be diligent and consistent with it. Because in many ways, when you begin to see one story of transformation, then that becomes a platform, and it becomes the opportunity now that other people see this play out. And there is a temptation, regardless of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, when it starts slow and it's a grind and it's a challenge, that it could easily become discouraging. And so I would just encourage anybody that maybe has a difficult time getting it off the ground and getting it beyond just getting started, is you just have to be passionate about it. It has to be, if it's not a core conviction in your heart, then you're not willing to sacrifice for it. But when it becomes a core conviction in your heart, you sacrifice for it, and a little bit of consistent work over a long period of time ultimately brings the right kind of success. Yeah, I would say that we couple the educational component with an internship component, and I think that both are critical. And so we have ways that people can get involved on an entry level, or someone that can get fully engaged and involved. And so one of the things that we're doing now is we're being mindful actually to go for those who are in the 10th and the 11th grade that are 16 and 17 years old, to actually invest in them because we see where they're going, and we give them opportunities now that we can invest in. It reminds me of, like, you got college, athletics. If you got a head football coach for a college, they don't try to recruit people that are looking to go to college. They're trying to go after the 14, 15, and 16-year-old kids to capture their attention before they're at an age where they can actually say yes to it. And so we're trying to leverage our youth ministries because we want to target our young people to provide them with a platform. And so we're hosting our youth conference, and a big part of the youth conference this year is going to be highlighting what we do with our leadership development. And so just to raise awareness and to make them known that there's opportunity for them, because we live in a day and age, specifically in our young people, they're desperate for purpose. They want to find meaning. And so that's one of our focuses. And the other side is there's also another group of people within our church that I would say, are professionals, and they're family men or women, people maybe a little bit beyond just trying to figure out how to take care of their family, that this provides them an opportunity to say, you know what, you don't have to leave your job, you don't have to stop providing for your family, but that doesn't mean that you have to give up on your desire to serve God in that capacity. And so this provides an amazing opportunity specifically for those that can't or probably won't go off to school somewhere, attending higher education on site, on campus, and walking away from a job. So this is an amazing opportunity to invite them in, and we've seen both work very effectively. Yeah, that's a great question. I think of a couple things. One, obviously, what it does for our staff and our team, it ensures that they get the right type of training and information without our team's involvement in energy and creating and training. And we have a track specifically for campus pastors and development. And we're developing training material for our whole staff so that their leadership can grow and to develop. And one of the things that we're doing within that is making the Training for Reigning course available to them, because we found that it's just a number one, it's an amazing course, but number two is it's solid stuff for anybody that's wanting to serve a ministry. So we're trying to find those ways within our own training components that we're doing with our staff and team to supplement it with courses and opportunities that they can get outside of us teaching something. I think that it's palatable that our leaders all have a passion, not just to do ministry well, but to make sure that others around them have opportunity to do ministry well. And so we've seen it not just to be a desire within our culture to build ladders and to raise up leaders and to serve people, but now it's actually seen within the attitudes and the posture of our leadership to say that what success really looks like is not doing ministry well, but is facilitating others who do ministry well. And so as an example, I tell our youth directors all the time, you're not in youth ministry. You are in leadership ministry for people who want to do youth ministry. And I think that that's a model of equipping that we're called to do, to equip the saints for the work of ministry. And it used to be aspirational and oftentimes a challenge, because oftentimes when you think about developing and training other people up, it almost feels like something's being taken away from you. But to see it differently, that if you're not doing it, but you're developing others who are doing it effectively, then your personal impact is multiplied and the people are touched, changed, and reached in ways that you can never do it on your own. So to me, that's the real palatable thing to see in our mindset and the posture of our leadership team, is to see themselves as not just people doing ministry, but people equipping others to do it. Well, one of the things that Liberty is most known for is our multi-site approach. And so currently we have 7 physical locations and an online campus. And a few years ago, it became our vision to say, what would it look like if we planted 10 new campuses in different communities? And so that's become a mandate for us, is what we call it. This is what we're called to do. So we're building something that has that type of ability. And I always joke with my staff, because we just went to a community called Milton, and I say, we started a campus in Milton because the people in Milton needed a campus, but Pastor Raul also needed a spot. And so our campus approach really is driven by our passion and desire to train up these new young leaders, and then to give them an opportunity to thrive and serve God in ministry that's well resourced and has a team of people around them and can do so much more together. And so I don't know that people naturally draw the connection to it, but I know this is that we are a people development culture. And so plenty of people have opportunities as a result of what we're doing, equipping and training them in that way. Another great question. I think that at the end of the day, when I think about trying to make disciples or develop leaders, sometimes that can be so abstract that you don't have anything concrete and specific. And so oftentimes that can frustrate. And so I think you need a real plan in order to see people through their transformation process into being sent out in ministry. And so without that, a lot of times our approach to discipleship is not very strategic. It might be spirit-filled and spirit-led, but it isn't strategic. And I think there has to be a component within our ministries to not just be led by the Spirit, if you will. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but oftentimes that means spontaneous. It means organic, without a lot of thought. It's just what the Holy Spirit does. But I think that this type of a program allows us to both be Spirit-led and Spirit-empowered, but it also gives us something strategic to focus our energy and effort on, so that people can actually be developed rather than just attending a service or attending meetings without it being sequential, without it being line upon line. And I think oftentimes people are not adequately prepared and equipped, because it doesn't just happen because you attend church services or Bible studies. But there has to be a point in which line upon line and sequential learning and education that builds off of one another. I think most of the time people are just overwhelmed at the thought of it. And so if a pastor is thinking about doing something with higher education, the thought feels so beyond them that they can't even get there or wrap their head around it. And so I think what's really important is pastors and leaders need to have the right resources that they need in order to accomplish the mission that Jesus gave us and the vision that's in their heart. And so this opportunity and this program allows for you to be resourced well, but in a way that you can not outsource it and allow someone else to do it, but you can have access to teachers and instructors, professors, and people that can serve you without you having to be a part of it. And so I think that the opportunity is really high in terms of its ability to produce great leaders and disciples, but the threshold of need, whether it's finances or your energy required, is really low. So there's a really high upside and a really low side. So in some ways it's a win-win for a pastor, because most pastors are too busy. They don't have time. They don't have energy. They don't have resources. They might not even have the know-how. They want the desire. So this allows for it to take place in a way that is both accessible to them, whether because of their time or the resources, in order to accomplish it in a successful way.